All right. Welcome in, everybody. I got another super awesome podcast episode here for you guys. Kevin from the Top Dog Mindset podcast. And today I'm lucky enough to be joined by Leanne Shinton from Automation Dogs. And Leanne and I just did a podcast the other day, last week together, and it was super cool. So if you haven't seen that already, that's on her page on Facebook and YouTube channel and stuff like that. So go make sure to give that a quick watch. But Leanne, just to kind of kick it off, why don't you kind of just introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and just a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. Thank you for having me. And I just want to say I really like the word mindset for your podcasts and what I see on your Facebook page. I've told you this before. Running a business, it is a mindset, and you're really tapping into that. And I'm identifying with it as a Automation Dogs software CRM for dog trainers and also entrepreneur. Since I've been 17 years old, I've been a dog trainer. So really like seeing that for me, it speaks to me. It took me a long time to really realize I'm a business owner. I started out at 17. I went to National Canine and in Columbus, Ohio, got trained by, the original like Scott Mueller. It was really cool at that age, but I was just like, dogs are cool. I love dogs. Oh my gosh. They're so like, I just want to cry when I see like a rare breed and I have to know all the breed names and everything. And I just getting into dog training was just amazing for me. But it took me years to really become a business owner and start to learn to be more of a beast on the business side and get excited about that. But yeah, I learned at National Canine because I had to go there because my dog was driving me crazy and I love dogs and he kept running away and he was a husky and he ran himself right into this fella and he had like a boxer and a Doberman and I'm running behind just a young person and my stupid dog and I catch up and my dog's like running circles around him and his dogs are being perfect and they're very high caliber. And I'm like, he helped me grab my little husky. And I was like, how are your dogs just sitting there off leash, like doing that? And he's like, my wife's a trainer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, got the card, started training with her, found out she went to National Canine. And yeah, what was just so thankful that there was a school for dog trainers. Like I had no idea, I'm like, what do I want to be when I grow up? And just my husky ran me right into it. And I was like, here's the card to train with her. She told me about National Canine, went to school, and I was all in. I think when I went to school too, like I was taught that I had learned the best of the best. I had such a strong, confident takeaway that I was like, I can train any dog and stuff like that. And I saw other graduates that maybe thought they didn't need more, but I wanted more. And so I started going to seminars, alumni at National Canine and all sorts of places, search and rescue, therapy dog. Like I was just trying it all, but I did see some trainers that came out that were like, I don't need anything else. I'm amazing. And that's never been me. I am like a lifetime learner. So just wanted to share that. I still go to conferences. I have a conference I'm going to be going to in November for dog trainers. And that's Professional Canine and in the beginning of November. So I just love to learn. Days we can just go online and learn things. I mean, amazing. Michael Ellis, for example, having like a $70 a month school that you can just attend. Wow, there's so much available to us. So that's the kind of person I am. But back to the business side. Yeah, it's been more like recent in my life where I'm like, I always had this attitude in my business, my dog training business. Like I'm here to train dogs. I love dogs. I want to help people and families with their dog. But I never really looked at my process in like, I need to sell. I was always like, I hate sales. I don't want to do sales. Someone else in my business will do the sales for me. And it was just more of like recently where I'm like, sales are actually a thing that I should learn maybe.
Yeah,
And then I got really excited about it.
that's cool.
Yeah, that I think it's that evolution for me. Like I want to learn more. I want to learn more. But as dog trainers, we just kind of like want to learn about dog training. Well, I want to learn how to use an e-collar. I want to learn how to use marker words or what have you. I want to do some fitness training. But if we put that same amount of want and energy into learning the business side, my gosh, we will have a future with
That's where you see all the growth.
yes. Yeah, that and I was involved in owning a franchise, and we had franchisees come in that were amazing dog trainers, super, famous dog trainers, amazing. But they were into the dog training thing like me, and they weren't really into the business entrepreneurship and that we could see it. So yeah, a lot of like stuff I've seen along the way, and it just resonates over time.
Very cool. Yeah. And you just said so much awesome stuff there that I feel like we'll have to unpack. But
Yeah.
quick question. So yeah, when you went to dog training school, was there not a lot of that available? Like were they, because I know that there's quite a few nowadays in 2025, different options, places you can go. But at the time when you were like thinking about it and looking around, I mean, how did you get connected with that school? And I mean, did you just call them up and did they just say, yeah, hey, class is starting on like this day? Or do you remember like how all that went and just like what was even available at that time?
Good question. And so I was in Canada.
Hmm.
And I think that in Canada, we don't have as many people, we don't have as many things and businesses. So I just didn't really realize that this was even a thing. And I'm like, what do I want to do with my life? I guess I'll just do something with business. Dogs are cool. I did not want to do veterinary. Oh, yeah. I think the US maybe had more opportunity at the time because this was like 37 some odd years ago. And we did have like a Canadian IACP type thing or like a Canadian pet dog association that I went to. I went to nutrition seminars, but I was crossing the border for some of these things. But first, when I first started out, like I mean, there wasn't the internet. So just my husky literally running into this lady or this man and then finding the husband or the
Yep.
wife and getting her card. That was it. Like there was no internet. So I just got lucky that we literally just ran into that situation. I called and they sent me a packet, like cute little packet with the folder. And it was so professional. And I'm like, this is my world now. And I was just so excited. I would just look at it every day. And I think they had like a 6-week course. They had a 3-week
Very
and a
cool.
6-week. So I went for the 6-week, of course. And they had a date that it would start. So I signed up for it. And they have like the school had dorms. So I would live there and just rent the little dorm space. And yeah, it was just so exciting, the build up, getting there. Yeah, just a great part of my life. I don't train dogs the way that I learned,
Hmm.
but I don't know that they do anymore either. I really don't know.
Mm.
We all evolve. So I'm sure,
I was gonna say there has to be a lot that's changed since then.
yeah, it was very like kind of old school training. We didn't train with food. So that came later for me. But yeah, it was a different journey, and if I didn't have my husky run into that guy, who knows?
Yeah, you just never know. I mean, we talked about this on your podcast with like even my dog Sadie and how I ended up working with dog trainers and it had it not been for Sadie that I wouldn't have ended up in this world either. And so it's just so funny where life leads you and things that you never thought would happen to you and just how it all unfolds for you.
Yeah, and I think it's super cool when a dog takes you on that journey. I mentioned I've been to nutrition seminars, Dr. Billinghurst and Kim Schultz and just so many because my German Shepherd was a health disaster
Mm.
and it sucked. It was awful. It brought me along on this journey where I had to learn about raw food and how important food is to behavior, to health, everything. Just amazing the things that I was taught because of him. So, yeah, my husky and then my German Shepherd, like, yeah, I think it's very cool when
It is.
dogs lead our path like that.
Totally. Who would have thought, you know?
Yeah.
Now you said something before that I really want to kind of go back to because I think it's very helpful information for everybody who's listening to this. So you were kind of talking about the idea of like dog trainers and even just your own experience not wanting to be involved in sales and stuff like that. So do you mind sharing a little bit more about that and just kind of like what you were able to do to kind of just overcome that way of thinking, because it seems like you were thinking like, hey, I'll just have somebody else do it for me. What was it for you that made that shift where you're like, you know what, I should actually be doing this myself and learning this skill set?
Yeah. I think partially because I had to.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, being female, I'm humble. I think I'm humble, and I've always been that wind beneath your wings kind of person. And I've always seen the dude as, you're really good at that. I'm going to help you to go to your next level. And that's always kind of been my jam, is the behind the scenes person. And so I think that's my narrative, and that's maybe what I told myself.
So you were kind of like the Robin to the Batman almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yep,
And then you just became Batman one day and you were like, okay, I'm doing this now.
yeah. I had to.
Yeah.
It was more when because I felt I could always kind of sell dog training, like I just was authentic and wanted to help. And I'd gotten some tips along the way, but it wasn't my jam. But with the software,
Hmm.
so just in the last bunch of years when I started Automation Dogs, that's when I'm like, no one else really knows this stuff on my team and can talk about it, because I'm a dog trainer and I'm a software expert. And no one else on my team is both of those things. And I just had to do it. And so my friend, my best friend, who I am here right now helping her with her facility because she's going to be going on holiday and I want to make sure everything is good while she's gone. She was looking into selling her dog training business years down the road, but she wanted to build it to sell it so that it
Hmm.
wasn't just like, I don't know, give me $500.
Exactly.
She wanted to walk away with one day millions of dollars.
Hmm.
So she called and found like a person that helps you like price your business. And
Yeah.
he was like, well, you're not quite there yet, girl. You need a coach. And so he said he'd call Tim, Coach Tim. So she got on one call with Tim and she was very excited. She called me and it's all about Coach Tim. And I was like, I need Coach Tim in my life. That was when I met him. And this was very recently. And he is very bro. He is like a dude. And I thought, if he is really good at sales, he listens, like he's just wonderful, but he's very bro. And I just, in my mind, I'm like, I need to be bro in my sales. Like, cause that was always my vision, is like, I'm the wind beneath your wings.
Hmm.
You're amazing at sales. You're a guy. And that was my narrative. And so I'm like, I'm going to have the most badass dude teach me sales, and
Hmm.
I will become the bro, the beast at sales.
Yeah. And so when you say bro, are you just kind of talking about just like more just like a masculine energy? Because like women, there's women that can be more masculine and obviously men who can be more effeminate and stuff like that, or isn't there more of like a feminine energy? So is that kind of what you're talking about? Like just almost more like assertive or something like that? I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I'm just curious to see what you kind of think about that.
Yeah, just I find that there's a lot of people in my world that I respect and they're my mentors. And when I really look at that, I'm like, they're dudes. And they may just be really intelligent and they just have confidence to share it and things like that. And I've never been super confident. I don't know really how to explain it. This is more of a newer thing that I'm coming to realize. And I'm like, I'm not a young person anymore. And I'm like looking back and looking at my journey, I'm pinpointing that for me now. So yeah, I'm still in
Yeah.
the middle of figuring this out, but I think that was like, wow, you're amazing. I want to learn from you. Now, there are amazing females that I'm like really opening my eyes to, and I'm like, we got to get you in the spotlight, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's not enough of them. So I'm trying with my podcast to bring on more power females. I'm also interviewing baby dog trainers who are like, I still work full time as a dental hygienist. I've been training dogs part time, and I'm sticking with them in the podcast to keep on their journey, because I feel like people may want to hear from them. They may connect with them because they're at the same phase of life.
Yeah, 100%. Well, something I think that is so cool about what you're talking about here is like, first off, it's never too late to like make a change and
Mm,
learn new skills and all that stuff. And ironically, there's a lot of people who think that's just not me. I couldn't do that. I don't have the personality type for that. And they tell themselves kind of what you're
Yes.
talking about, this narrative that, I'm not like a dude. I'm not like that type of guy or girl that can do that type of stuff. But here you are, you've just kind of gone fully into it and clearly having a lot of success with it. So, I mean, what's the advice that, you would give to somebody who's kind of thinking that same way that you were even a couple months ago, a couple years ago, when you were just like, hey, that's not me. I'm going to let somebody else take the lead, and just using the sales thing as the example.
I got a coach, and that was huge for me. Yeah, it takes time to kind of figure yourself out and evolve. I think you like you just said, it kind of hit the nail on the head, like, that was my truth.
Hmm.
That's how I saw things at the time, but I was wrong, and
Wow.
that it's taken me 100 years to learn that, but I'm happy with my journey. I have even the bad stuff that sucked, that's the stuff that, you know, I
Teaches you the most.
yeah, like, if it's not hard, I'm not gonna try hard
Hmm.
to rise up against it, and it's not so much that you fall, it's how you and that you climb back up. I meet people that are a victim mentality, and that is not me. Yeah, I just if I think we said this earlier, like, if some we might have been talking before we started the podcast, if somebody says I can't do it, okay, hold my beer.
That's the number one thing that's going to make me want to do it. Right.
Yeah, that's like the fuel for the fire. Yeah, if you don't like somebody and you wanna hurt them, saying you can't do it, those just probably gonna drive them harder, so
Hmm.
you just set them up to kick some butt on what you didn't think or want them to do,
For
because
sure.
that's fuel for my fire for sure.
Yeah. And this is such a cool conversation. And, obviously, I don't have my gender studies degree, so I don't know if I'm qualified to unpack like male, female dynamics in business and stuff like that. But what I will say is, we work with a lot of women, and we do a ton of sales coaching and stuff just because all of this is so intermittent, just like so intertwined, getting leads for marketing, and we could send you all the leads in the world, but if you don't know how to close them, then it's not going to matter. And I've had a lot of women verbalize that to me over the years of, I feel like maybe I'm not being taken seriously. And I feel like, if it was a man or something like that, they may have made the sale and I didn't. And I'll just say this, like, I've met people who say that. And then I've had women that I work with who crush. And I ask them about that, like, hey, did you ever feel this way? And they're like, it never crossed my mind. And so I'm not saying
Mm,
that it's not real. Like, of course it's real. Like, I was just talking to a couple of our trainers recently, and they said one of the biggest problems that they face is like sending their female trainers out to a home and having a really difficult male client kind of maybe speaking down to the girl because she's a little bit younger or soft spoken and stuff like that. And that's a real challenging thing. But I just think that really what it comes down to from a mindset perspective is either you want to do it or you don't. Right. Either you want to own a business or you don't. Either you want to be successful or you're not actually serious about it. And yeah, there's obstacles and there's real barriers in place in society and life. I'm not denying any of that stuff. But really, what it comes down to is what choice do you really have? Like, what other option do you have other than just to become so great that they can't deny you? I think there was a coach. I think he was Kobe Bryant's coach, and he wrote a book about this. I may be misquoting this, but I think that was the whole gist of the book. Is like become so great that they can't deny you. And we work with women like that and men too, who they have this background and they kind of feel like very humble, like who am to be here and
mhm.
to be making all this money and to have all these employees and stuff like that. But they just kept working at it and chipping away and getting better and better and better until the point where they just become the go-to person in the market that everybody wants to work with.
Yeah, and listening to you say that, it made me think about, like, if I were gonna do it all again, I would really identify the ideal client that suits me, that I really wanna help. Like, when I identify the who, then I can create the what I wanna sell, and I can create the brand. Well, for me, I've said this on many podcasts, I really like, when I first started, dogs were cool, I love dogs. But then I realized that I can help a family with dogs. I'm really not a people person, but then I became a people person. You have
Mhm.
to. You have to, because you're not just training the dog, you have to teach them to train the dogs. Huge, huge people thing involved. But I think for me, as I really analyze it, my who, because we all know like what kind of dogs we might not want to really work with, you know,
Mhm.
the aggressive dogs, or maybe we want to work with behavior mod stuff, and reactivity. My like dog is like a nervous dog, and a dog with anxiety, a dog that's shy, because in my kennel, I was the female, and those dogs just do well with the ladies because I have
Mhm.
a softer voice and demeanor and things, and I can get them, to come out of their kennel and work with them, and they can build trust a lot easier. Maybe they're owned by a woman.
Right.
And that is actually my ideal client, is a sissy fur mom with a sissy dog. And most trainers are probably like, run from that.
Yeah.
But I do well, and I really get invested in their success. And
Mhm.
so, yeah. And then I don't have to maybe face those dudes that will talk down to me or talk down to their wife in front of me. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh my God, how do I handle this? Because that sucks.
That does suck. But, just kind of packaging this up, something that's so cool about everything that you're talking about right now is you have evolved and you've learned different skills and you've forced yourself into really uncomfortable situations.
Hmm.
And I think that that's the most important thing of being a business owner is not just staying in your lane and only doing the stuff you're comfortable with. And I think the most important thing for everybody to know is when you look at these other trainers or these other business owners and you put them up on a pedestal and you think, well, they must just not be feeling the same way that I did. They must have been a people person. They must have just been better at sales in the beginning. They must have, whatever. It's true that some people have a natural proclivity to certain things in life to be good at them, but a lot of the people that run these massively successful businesses at one point or another did have a significant deficit of knowledge or a skill set deficit that they needed to learn. And so I just think that like becoming a forever student, you started out talking about this in the earlier on in the podcast, not just saying like I just want to train dogs or like that's what I'm good at and that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm not a people person, but learning to become a people person. You can become, if you're an introvert, you can be an introvert, but there's moments where you can be extroverted. It's a skill set that you can learn. So I just think that that's like something that's really important to note here about your story and what I've learned from you, from knowing you like over the past like couple months, like, years, stuff like that, is that there's been different iterations of you and different things that you've done and you've forced yourself into different situations. And again, I just think that the greats in life, they get comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's where the growth happens.
Yes. And the uncomfortable for many dog trainers, myself included, for many business people, is the fear of like, I have 20 leads sitting in my pipeline that haven't converted. I'm going to call them all. And, you can practice a call with your coach. You could practice a call with ChatGPT and be like,
Mhm.
hey, you know, you be the frustrated dog owner that I called out of the blue, and let's go back and forth. But at some point, you're going to have to pick up the phone and make that phone call. You call 20 of those people, you book 5 of them. I mean, you sell 3 of them. That could be $15,000 right there, like 3 big programs. So 20 phone calls, I think that you can fit that into your day every
Mhm.
day, or at least maybe 3 times a week. Put it on your calendar. Do the stuff that makes you a little bit afraid, and then you won't be afraid anymore.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
what's the worst they could say? Like, no.
I heard a clinical psychologist one time talking about this, and he said, "There is no physician or psychologist that's worth their weight in salt that would tell you that there's any other way to overcome fear other than exposure therapy, just doing that fear." Like people who have crippling OCD, right? Like afraid to leave the house or something like that because the stove, maybe they left the stove on or something. It's like, nope, you're gonna force yourself to leave the house without checking the stove again, you know, or whatever it may be. Like you need to expose yourself to those fears and just, yeah, you're gonna sit down in a room and you're gonna pick up your phone. And your heart is going to be pounding through your chest. It's going to feel like it's in your throat and it's going to feel really scary and uncomfortable, but you just nailed it. You just do that. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, the next time you do it, it's 1% less intimidating. And you do it 100 times. And by the 100th time, it's 100% less intimidating. And then at that point, it's just hardwired into your system that this is what I do. And again, like we talked about this on the last podcast we did, there's so many fears that are actually unrecognized in life. Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this bad consequence because of it. But at the end of the day, you do the thing and all that stuff you were so fearful about never comes to fruition.
Yes. You get your groove and it's like, wow, all the stuff I was fearful of, it just never happened.
Yeah.
And that's something too I point out to dog trainers. People opted in. They're in your pipeline because they filled out a form, they showed interest. So if you send them a text message, an email, or call them, like they opted in. They reached out to you. You're not cold calling. Even if you're sort of cold calling, they still reached out to you. So they're in your system because they opted in. And don't be offended if they opt out, because
Hmm.
I will sign up for something and I don't want the text messages because I like to keep my text messaging clean. I prefer to see that feedback and information in my email. I definitely want it. I opted in. So don't get offended if they say stop in your text messaging or they unsubscribe for your email. Maybe that's just how they like to funnel their information.
For sure. Yeah. Well, why don't we do this? Do me a favor, Leanne. Like, break it down. Tell everybody like all about what you do, your business, what Automation Dogs is all about, because I feel like that could be like really helpful for people just to kind of know.
Yeah, so I started Automation Dogs years ago when I realized that I wanted to use a CRM for my dog training business. And I looked at all the dog training CRMs and they only helped me once the client said yes. And I need to get their vaccines and book their board and train and get their contract signed. But I'm like, but what about the front end? Like when the phone call comes in and I'm checking my cell phone and I'm checking my Google Voice and then I'm checking a contact form comes in and I see that in my email and then a Facebook message comes in. I have to check. It's all over the place and opportunities were getting lost. And I hated following up. It was back in that time when I was afraid and I didn't feel like the big salesperson. So I would like call once, maybe twice. And then I'm like, sorry to bother you. I don't want to, bother you, but I'm past all that now.
Yeah.
And when I realized I could automate that,
Hmm.
then I'm like, I don't have to be afraid. I automated it and people loved it. They're like,
Hmm.
thank you for continuing to check in. So that was what I built, was the front end for my dog training business. And then I was like, this is really cool. I beta tested it on a few of my friends' dog training businesses, and they're all clients of mine still to this day, like paying
Very
clients
cool.
now, because it was like, this is very cool and needed, because they were seeing the same things I was. Just leads were coming in and they weren't getting worked.
Hmm.
So I started studying the way leads move,
Hmm.
what leads will do. So we want to have like a chat widget, a phone call, a contact form, a booking calendar to get like an eval booked.
Hmm.
So all of those things are needed. I found that 80%, I think, of leads will convert after the 6th to 8th follow up.
Wow.
And you got to automate that because ain't nobody got time for that. I'm not sure of this actual statistic number. Leads will book a bigger program if you have better customer service, and you can automate about 70% of your customer service. So now they're going to book a $5,000 program instead of a $1,500 program. That's cool. And I automated 70% of it. So life is pretty good. Yeah,
That's cool.
there was definitely moments too where I saw that, like, we went live with one dog trainer on like a Friday night. And by Saturday night, 7 people had booked on his booking calendar. And that's a lot. But the impact for me was they could have gone to the chat widget. They could have called the number. They could have used the contact form, but they chose to just book on the calendar.
Mm.
And that was very impactful because it saved him so much time. He didn't have to like play phone tag. Phone tag is a big pain in the butt. So yeah, people get frustrated. Business owners don't have time for that. So that calendar was very, very impactful. Yeah, so many things. So that's basically why Automation Dogs developed. Yeah, it's a monster. The platform is it's a monster,
For sure.
as you know.
Yep.
So, yeah, it takes a lot of support. We have a 24/7 team available. We have AI support, a knowledge base. We want to make sure that like our clients feel really supported because they're dog trainers, they're not tech experts.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we understand that it's so easy to get frustrated when you lose a password or something like that. So we want to make sure that we are readily available at any time of day.
For sure. Yeah. And you and I have a lot of overlap here because, we offer a CRM to our clients, but you guys are way more like in the market of selling software as a service. And hey, we specialize in this and offer excellent support. Whereas we're like a marketing agency first. And hey, this is helpful for people to have. But yeah, I mean, the example I always use is like, you can have the greatest software in the world that can have all these bells and whistles, but it's kind of like giving somebody a Ferrari and they don't know how to drive stick shift. They're never going to
That's
get it out of neutral, you know? And so I think the support is really the most important thing for all this stuff. And that's obviously something that you guys do extremely well with is being able to coach people through, have real people you can speak with, or have like a knowledge base to be able to figure all this stuff out. Because I've seen people with SaaS offers in the past and they go and get it, whether it's HubSpot and they're reselling that or whatever it is. Pick any, litany of softwares. And they're like, this is great. I'm just going to set this up, give it to people, and they pay me on retainer and I never need to worry about it. It's like, dude, you're going to have a massive headache to deal with as soon as people start asking you questions.
kind of like dog training.
Yeah.
So if, dog trainers that are listening, think about it. Like if you do a board and train with a, 1-year-old Belgian Malinois,
Hmm.
who's, a Belgian Malinois, they're external, they're reactive, and you don't do any follow up, or maybe you just do one follow up lesson, you know quickly what's going to happen. Things are going to unravel. The client's going to be unhappy.
Hmm.
So, yeah, the ongoing support for our dog training clients, it's kind of the same thing for tech. And then with a dog, if you have a cool Malinois, it sucks to see them in like a pet dog situation. It's like you get somebody that's like, I want to do dog diving, I want to do some bite work. And that's with our tech as well. If you go all in and you really like open this thing up and see what it can do, it is really exciting. That's how I got addicted to it. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
very cool. Like, it's like having a Malinois.
There's nothing better than building out a funnel or just a new marketing campaign or automations and it works and it solves the problem that you've been struggling with for so long.
Yeah, yeah. Just something so simple, like a lot of dog trainers will just throw it up on Google Calendar and the client gets a Google Calendar invite, but there's no real like reminders.
Hmm.
With me, with my business, I trained my clients to show up at the time that like to communicate with me about the
Hmm.
time they were arriving. So let's say they had a 9 a.m. lesson, my system would send out, because we were usually about a 40-minute drive for
Mm.
people because we're in the middle of nowhere. And the system would say, hey, your arrival time changes from 9 a.m. Shoot me a text. And that was automated. It sent out an hour before. And I just said something like, I want to make sure the front gate's open, or I want to make sure I'm out front when you arrive. And now they say, oh, actually, I'm going to be there at 9:15. Well, as a business owner, of course, if I didn't know that, I would be out there 15 minutes early. Now I have a half-hour loss of freaking time. That
Yep.
would drive me insane. Or if it's my staff, they're sitting down there waiting. So that was an automation that like really solved a problem for me because we were in the middle of nowhere. People are not always on time. And they would say if I'm going to be 5 minutes early or something, and if I've got like Nacho, the, bull terrier dog eater going home, and Bubba the Shih Tzu's arriving, like I want to make sure that Nacho doesn't get a little free lunch
Right.
there.
Yep.
So that's the other variable for us as dog trainers. We're in a very high risk industry. Dogs bite, dogs run away, and staff too. We have to consider our staff are at risk. One dog trainer, I heard a situation where they had two sibling dogs and they were just cool. Everything was good. Then one dog threw up and then they fought over the vomit. And okay. But then the staff didn't know how to break up the fight
Mm.
and got bit. So it were very high risk. There's a lot of variables. There's clients, there's dogs, and there's staff.
Mm.
So knowing where everybody is on my property, at my facility, when they're arriving, when they're leaving. It just really helps to keep everything fluid. I have one dog trainer, she only allows one person in her lobby at a time. So that there's no passing and something happens. And it might not even be dog to dog. My friend here, she mentioned she had an issue where this person was just standing in the lobby and it's like, "Hi, puppy," to this other lady's dog. Dog jumped on the person and pushed her against the wall. And, luckily okay, but like that could be a huge problem.
Yeah.
So having these boundaries to protect ourselves in place and then automating a simple thing like that, like what time are you going to be here?
Hmm.
When in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, what could happen if they
For
showed up
sure.
an hour early and Nacho the bull terrier
Yeah.
is here?
That's great advice. I think that's extremely well said. Yeah, and I'd love to get your opinion on this too, because I think we're pretty aligned on this, but I think that there's time and place for automation, and then there's also the time and place to be a real human being and get on a call. Because I think sometimes people can confuse, like, great, now I have this CRM and there's these automations. Now my sales process is taken care of. I don't ever need to sell again. And the software will just take care of it. And for me, it doesn't work like that. I think that these are tools to help you get in front of people, to help you book the consultation or the evaluation or to follow up with people and take those little monotonous tasks off your plate, but it's not there to close $5,000 board and trains for you. So
Yeah.
what is your thoughts, or what are your thoughts on that? I'd just love to hear like your overall philosophy.
Yeah, I ordered this box of stuff from like a Tony Robbins type seminar, and I still
Nice. I
have
love
it.
Tony
I,
Robbins.
I put my pens and stuff in there, and I have this box, this cool box. And just I looked up at it the other day and it said touch plus tech, touch plus tech.
Mm,
And it spoke to me because those touch points need to be manual. That's how it resonated with me. When I started taking a deep dive in learning about automation, I did it because I wanted to have better customer service. So I just wanted to keep doing the little bit that I was doing, but I wanted to add to it. I definitely know what you're saying, though. Some businesses will just be like, turn on all the automation and I'm going to just go have a nap.
exactly.
And I get wanting that nap, but that is not going to work. It feels automated. With our system, when a message comes in, you need to read it. A message will go out. It has to go out within the first 5 minutes. The dropping off point after 5 minutes is so extreme.
Mhm.
It it's almost like you're cold calling at that point. So we have a text and an email go out, but we need you to call the lead.
Mhm.
Now, hopefully you got your booking calendar in front of them. Like we've got some automations that will save you from even having to make that phone call. But yeah, definitely some manual elements. And I think I mentioned earlier, like if you had a bunch of people that are just sitting there in the pipeline, just sit down and call 20 people today and see that could change like your income for that whole month and make it your
Absolutely.
best month ever by doing that manual action. Cause yeah, automation can only go so far. You want it to feel not automated. We try to do our best and to have that feel. We have conversational AI and booking bots and things that feel like they're humanish.
Mhm.
But I mean, this day and age, people kind of expect a bit of automation and that's
For
okay.
sure.
But they also expect, a phone call. And we're dealing with fur babies and fur mummies and fur daddies. It's
Mhm.
not like they're ordering pizza. Voice AI, for example, like I feel like maybe in a few months, the voice AI will be the sweet spot. But for ordering a pizza, go for it, voice AI. But for mummy calling in about their fur baby, like a human phone call could be all the
Yeah.
difference that was going
Yep.
to make.
Yeah. Your dog just went after your 2-year-old and you call a company and it's an automated AI chat thing. It's like they're in this heightened emotional state. How are they going to feel about just being put on the phone with a robot? I couldn't agree with you more on that. I think that we're a couple I mean, for the longest time, I would have said a couple years away, but everything is advancing so quickly that
Yeah.
in, 10 days, it could be a completely different thing. But yeah, I think we're a couple months away from it being a little more comfortable for people. And I almost wonder if it's not necessarily going to fully replace people answering their calls, but almost just kind of like your default should be you answer the calls, but this is the new like voicemail almost or something like that.
Yes.
You know? So instead of just having a recorded message, there's a bot there that can like ask questions and tell them, not try and hide it, let them know, hey, this is an AI, bot answering the call. I'm going to grab some information from you. And again, it's just the 2025, 2026 version of a voicemail.
Yeah. And I think you just hit something that was very impactful when I thought about it. Was in time, people are going to be used to voice AI being kind of commonplace, and they're just getting more and more comfortable with AI. So for me, actual experience when COVID hit, like we used to meet with people and evaluate them and their dog. Like, yeah, duh, that's what we do. Like, how we couldn't do it any other way.
Yep.
And then COVID. And so we're like, 10 feet apart with all our masks, and we can't touch anybody and can't touch the dog. And it's like, this is crazy. And if anybody coughs, it's like, oh my gosh, like it was just really bad.
Yeah.
So talking to other dog trainers, okay, we're going to start doing Zooms. Zooms are working for you. Okay, I'm going to start doing Zooms. So Zooms and phone calls have actually become the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I reach out because my dog has bitten somebody, it's okay that we start with a phone or a Zoom. And that is kind of the norm, I think, for people. So that's where we went, and we offered phone or Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, statistically, if you look up like the best way to close somebody, Zoom is going to close better. I think the show rates are better for Zoom. Psychologically, people are more present. You can see each other. So there's a lot of variables. But we offered phone and Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And if we needed to meet the dog, or if they needed to meet us or see our facility, we would book then a second step in the close process, which we called a meet and greet. Now, our reviews were really good. We rarely had to do a meet and greet. And sometimes I would want to meet the dog if it was like a weird situation. I'm like, okay, you want board and train, but I got to make sure this dog isn't going to like eat our staff.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be the odd time, but I was probably doing a meet and greet once a month. And if someone called and they said, or reached out and they said, I will not do a discovery call or a Zoom, I want to meet you, I was like, we don't really want you to be one of our clients.
Yeah.
You kind of
You're
sounded
trying to dictate what we do as a business. Doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, it's like the first step in our process. So, and every dog trainer is different. And when we build software for dog trainers, we strategize with you. What does your call look like, that first call? Is it in person? Do you go to the home? Like, we work with you and build automation for any variable. But I'm also here to advise you if you're doing something that's a total waste of your time and we can tighten that up. I'm going to offer you some suggestions.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. I think it's only becoming more and more common. I'll never forget a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, my wife and I had to move like 3 times in a year and a half period a couple of years ago, which I hate moving now. But we hired this great company, and we had called these other places, and they were like, oh yeah, just use our online calculator and put in your square footage and how many boxes and mattresses and couches and stuff like that. And then we just kind of started like going like, this is kind of annoying. I'm not going to lie. You want me to like measure the square footage of the apartment? And, I know relatively, but like, I don't want a quote that's going to be far off and stuff. And so anyway, I'm trying to think of the name of the company. Doesn't matter. It's called Clutter. And so we call Clutter, and they're like, hey, we're going to set you up with a time to do like a video call. And so a nice, young, friendly guy gets on the call, and he's joking around with us. And I'm sure he's got his like, preloaded 4 jokes he says to everybody that he just knows. He just knows they crush every time, But we're still walking around our apartment showing everything. And he's like, okay, cool. Here's how much it's going to be. And I was like, this was such a better experience than what we had done before. And so point being, Zoom, FaceTime, all this stuff, use it to your advantage.
Yeah.
It may feel a little bit awkward in the beginning if you're used to selling face-to-face, and hey, you want to do that. We still encourage a lot of our clients to do that, because it's like, you can sell face-to-face, you're going to should be able to do that. If you can't do that, then you can't sell over the phone.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. I want to hear what you have to say.
I was just going to say, like, I look at conversion rates, and face-to-face will convert better than a Zoom, than a phone. But
exactly.
Yeah, sometimes maybe just a discovery call to then figure out where you're going to go and get that next step booked and warm them for the next step. I think that a lot of dog trainers, they go into that first initial like feel out call as a pre-qualifier. I'm going to
Mhm.
weed out the tire kickers, and that is a mindset like you use.
Mhm.
That is a bad mindset. You are warming them. If they don't have money, there's financing. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be very careful of that as a business owner. I'm so glad you said that. It's a very nuanced but very intelligent thing you just said, which is you're going in thinking of it from a pessimistic, negative perspective. Like, I'm going to weed the people out versus how do I warm them up? It's like, how do I get rid of the people I don't like versus how do I get the people that may be a little bit difficult to fall in love with me? And like that's to me the marking of a really, really good skilled salesperson and business owner is how can you get the people that, yeah, they're a little bit more difficult, but how do you get them to fall in love with you, your process, your company? And yeah, some people aren't going to be for you, but if you're only looking for the unicorn clients, the people like I've weeded out these people, they all suck, and this is what's left over at the end of all that, it's just it begs the question of how many people can you actually work with in a month?
yeah. And I've definitely done it myself where I got on a
Hmm.
call. And I remember specifically, I've told this story before in other podcasts because it just was such a powerful lesson. I was a little triggered because she called and she sounded like my grandma
Hmm.
calling. And so, I'm like, oh, they got paper thin skin. And just it's tougher sometimes to teach my grandma how to train two German Shepherd puppies is what this lady called about. And it was these two male, so same sex. So in my head, I'm already like, analyzing how this is not going to work and blah, blah, blah. And, just didn't sound like an ideal client. I'd already had this narrative in my head of how this was going to go. And I was so freaking wrong.
Hmm.
Awesome client. Once we got to know them, like going over to the house, both retired police officers. She was also like a retired travel agent. She helped me book when we had to go to Russia to compete. She booked it for me, like, and helped me to get my dog on the plane and all that. Like,
Wow.
she ended up having a heart attack one day. I drove over and like broke in their house and got all the dogs and brought them to my house, and just
Wow.
like a family friend. And the initial, like, I trained the two German Shepherd puppies at probably $5,000 each, and then long-term boarding because she had an old Samoyed. So yeah, just one of the best freaking clients, like Flirty, my precious little angel. She helped raise these two puppies, and they were so sissy. They would
Hmm.
never fight with each other. Like, I'm in this narrative in my head. I'm like, these were just timid little angels. Easy breezy.
Hmm.
So, yeah, if I went into that call as pre-qualifying and I pushed them on down the line, oh,
Hmm.
I might not have had
Yeah.
them in my life.
Yeah, and what I found that's so fascinating about the mindset behind all of this is it's human nature to judge a book by its cover and then you're pleasantly surprised, but most people never do what you did, Leanne, which is reflect on that and go, "Wait a second, my thinking was screwed up there." I was like already making this assumption that this person was going to be a nightmare because she was elderly and why does she have these two German shepherds? She shouldn't have dogs like that and this is going to be a disaster to train them or to teach her and stuff like that. I hear this all the time from people. And then it turns out she's a great client and a family friend. And most people never take the time to reflect on that and go, wait a second, my thinking was wrong there, you know? And on the reverse side of the coin, the problem is when you judge a book by its cover and you're right, then it reinforces that belief system inside you that, like, see, I know what I'm talking about. Like, they were a nightmare. And so I just think that, yeah, like, should you use your best judgment? Of course. And will you notice patterns? And should you not just be like, this person's giving me massive red flags, but hey, I just need to see what happens anyway? Obviously be smart about this, which everyone will be and can be, but at the end of the day, I think what we're really talking about here is just treating everybody in every situation as an individual because you never know what that person's going to end up.
Yeah, they've reached out to you because their life is chaos because of this dog, and you can help. So, yeah, no matter what, try to help them, and then you'll seem real and authentic because that's why we're in this. Like, we want to help people, we want to help dogs. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll just say this too. I think a really important distinction here is that In order for you to be the best dog trainer possible, you need to be versatile. You need to be able to work with the elderly woman, and you need to be able to communicate with the 17-year-old kid, right? And everybody in between. You can't just throw your hands up and just say like, "Oh, nobody could help them." A really good trainer, what we're really talking about here is like you're a coach. You're a dog trainer, but yeah, you're a coach and you're coaching the dog, you're coaching the human being too. And a really good coach doesn't just say they're not doing what they're supposed to do, they're a bad client, moving
Right.
on, right? It's like being the it's like being the physical therapist who can solve the person's back issues, that they've had these back issues for 40 years and they've been to 10 other physical therapists and they all were trying to, just put them on this regimen that wasn't working. And then they find this one person and they're like, I know exactly what's wrong with you. And they can help you fix it,
Yeah.
you know? And so do you want to be that type of dog trainer or do you just want to be the one of the 10 that couldn't help, because you weren't willing to go to that extent with
Yeah.
your clients to figure out a game plan to get in place that actually helps them. I've had people jokingly say to me, these people are driving me nuts. They're bickering with their husband during the training session. I'm not a marriage counselor. Am I supposed to be like helping them with their marriage? And ironically, yeah, sometimes you should step in and be like, it seems like you guys are having a hard time communicating here. John, what's important to you? Where do you feel like the hang up is here with like your dog's training and why you guys don't feel like you're getting as far as you would have expected at this point? I'm not saying be codependent with your clients and go to these extreme lengths and take on people's like, insane, backgrounds and stuff like that. But there are different places where you can help people, books you can recommend, different things you've picked up along the way to help people. And I just think that if you can do that stuff as well, that is the stuff that's going to be the difference maker and the type of stuff that's going to make them want to sing your praises to everybody in your community.
Yeah. Marriage counselor is right. It's tough for families. I've been in it myself where I have my perfect little angel and, my boyfriend's dog wants to kill her and I want to kill him
Hmm.
because it's my perfect little angel.
Hmm.
So having someone in your corner when, you're in a relationship and you have a difficult dog, you're the trainer, you're the coach in the corner, and you have to try and help to make sure that everybody's safe and everybody's happy. Like, yeah, marriage coaching for sure. And the dogs listen to the husband different than the wife. A lot of times they listen to the wife better because we're more consistent. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's just so much dynamic there and it's fun. It's really fun learning all that. I had one of my very good friends, Allie from California, Candid
Hmm.
Canine, and she's so freaking hilarious. And she always sends me these funny messages about like this client and this. And she sent me one and I'm howling laughing. But it's about like basically she's training my nana and granddad and they can't work a
Hmm.
landline to call her. And they had a spam blocker on their phone and they were upset and it had nothing to do with her. And she was like, there's something wrong with your phone. Like this
Hmm.
had nothing to do with anything dog training. I'm like, okay, let's take a step back. Like, even though I was laughing and stuff, and she's like, I don't want to deal with them as clients. I said, just try and
Hmm.
see and go to their house because they can't work a phone. And I know this is going to be hard. Anyway, she messaged me and she's like, you were right. It worked out. And they were amazing clients. They just
Wow.
they couldn't work their landline. So we were
Wow.
worried, would they be able to work the e-collar and have their timing and put a leash on and but the dog sounded pretty easy. So she persevered and she's like, you were right. I had another one where it was two sibling Doberman puppies and the trainer said, nobody in town wants to take this client. I know all the other trainers. Nobody's going to take this client. I'm like, it might be like my little German Shepherd sissies, the two little Doberman siblings. They might never fight. So if no one else in town's going to help them, get in there and get the two dog sale.
Yeah.
So give it a go. And you never know. It might be a great client.
I've found myself doing things that are 100% outside of the scope of what we offer. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, we need to fix this person's email. And we're not Gmail support, but we're going to find a way to help them because otherwise they can't get their leads. So like you just need to be willing to solve problems outside of what you've deemed the scope of services are sometimes. And you just don't ever want to be the person who has the mentality of not my job, you know?
Yeah.
I almost kind of look at it from the perspective of like everything's your job when you're the owner of the business,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. It's a big hat. A lot of hats,
Yeah,
a lot of plates in the air. So, yeah, definitely. It's a lonely space, but yeah. I mean, that definitely there's some red flag stuff, but I'm always listening. Like if I get them on the phone, they're like, yeah, he's driving me crazy, pulls on the leash. Do you want to have him off leash? Well, yeah, when we go up to our cottage or we go to our boat, I want to have them there. I want to bring them right now. I can't bring them. So it tells me they've got some fun stuff going on, some extra money to be able to afford a boat. They're probably a good candidate to, pay for a big program. They have big goals. So I'm
exactly.
listening for things like that also tune me in to be like, this is going to be a really good client.
For sure. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We've talked about this a couple of times now. I just think that this is a superpower in business is not getting jaded, not getting resentful, and not getting burnt out and letting it stop you from doing the things that you need to do. I've seen this with many people before where they start self-sabotaging and they're turning away good people because they even just recently had a negative experience with a client and they turned out to be a nightmare or something, and now they're gun shy to work with anybody. And they're only looking for that unicorn. They're like, because they're so guarded, I can't deal with that guy John any longer. He was such a disaster to work with and gave me the creeps and just all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, I just think being able to look at every situation as a fresh new opportunity is really what we're talking about here and make the most honest, best decision just based off the information that you get.
Yeah. And kind of speaking about like boundaries and loosening things up a little bit to bring more clients in. One thing is weekends. I met with a
Hmm.
trainer this morning and I looked at her Google My Business and it says I'm open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday, but I'm closed Saturday and Sunday. I totally get that. For your customers, be closed on Saturday and Sunday. You're already offering amazing hours during the week. But for your leads, we can automate that.
We're 24/7 for as per the leads.
Yeah, the automation
Yeah.
don't sleep. It does a great job.
Yeah.
It's very reliable. So let them know for the leads, put it out there that you are open on the weekends because the weekend people probably work during the week, so they have some money.
Hmm.
So they might be a really good client. Now, for my business, I found we would have maybe only like 3 or 4 people reach out on a Saturday, maybe one on a Sunday. So it wasn't huge, but the people that reached out, they were good leads. So
Hmm.
we just automated all of that. And that way we could say we were open. Once they come in, they're a customer. Now I set my boundaries and I say, okay, we're actually closed for lessons on the weekends or whatnot. But yeah, for your leads, keep everything open, capture as many leads as you can.
Yeah, that's great advice. And it's funny you bring that up because about a year ago, I was talking to a bunch of different agency owners and they were talking about how Google, with an algorithm update they had, your open hours on your profile, so what you show to the public, has a big factor on how well you rank. So if your business is closed because all of a sudden it's 9 o'clock on a Thursday and you only have 8 to 8, and there's another business that says they're open at that time, guess who they're going to show? So they'll move people around in the map pack just based on the open hours that each profile has.
That is very powerful information.
Yeah.
Can you say that one more time just to make sure that everybody listening hears
Everyone
it?
caught that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the bottom line here is like, hey, you don't need to go out there and put 24 hours on your profile, even though that's certainly possible. But just to your point from before, even though you can't answer the call on a Saturday or a Sunday, the way that Google's algorithm works, at least the update that they had made at the time, was if you say I'm closed on Saturday or Sunday, if there's another business or businesses in the area that are open on those days, according to their profile, they will suppress your listing and promote their listing. So you should have your business like minimum 7 days a week, 9 to 5. And really what I would just say, agreeing with you, Leanne, which is like have something in place that's just a text message that automatically that goes out and to book a call, and
yes.
just have it from 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And again, if you want to have it turned off at that point, whatever, but there's a lot of low hanging fruit there that you might be missing out on.
Yeah, that is super powerful. And if anybody listening is thinking he's just making that up, or she's just saying that 80% of leads convert after the 6 to 8th follow-up, ask ChatGPT, because that's literally what I do is I look at studies, I ask ChatGPT, and I'm like, how quickly do I need to respond to a lead when they reach out?
Yeah,
Before
totally.
5 minutes, and it's right there. So we're not just like saying
Yeah.
this stuff because, we're trying to sell something. This is
Yeah.
stuff that we study.
Exactly. Like, I have no dog in the fight whether you answer your phone or not if you're not a client. I'm just telling you that
Yeah.
if you go and look up statistics surrounding, because I do the same exact thing. I think that's a great piece of advice there, just in general, is go to ChatGPT or whatever your preferred AI is and go talk to it about. You'd be mind blown if you look up what are the statistics around answering my phone the first time a lead calls versus letting it go to voicemail. And I don't remember all the numbers off the top of my head, but it is not like shocking is an understatement when you start looking at what happens if you miss the call and your competitor answers the call when it first comes in.
And they
They're
book
like
them.
multiple times more likely to get it. Like you said before, they're more likely to pay more money to you if you answer the call on the first time they call. And I just think whether conscious or subconscious, people just first impressions matter. And if they call a business and they don't get a response for 8 hours, all they're going to think about is just what happens if I send my dog away for a board and train? Am I not going to be consistently getting updates? Am I not going to be able to get a hold of this trainer if I need to reschedule my lesson? So even just that stuff aside, it just does not set you off on the right foot when you call a business and they don't answer. And just one final point on this that I'll add to it's we all hold all these other businesses to other standards that we don't hold ourselves to. So what I mean by that is like you want to go and book a dentist appointment and you call your dentist because you only have 5 minutes right now and you're in between training sessions and doing your own work and they don't answer. I know for myself, I'm like, come on, dude, answer the phone. I got to book the appointment.
Yeah.
And so, but we don't hold ourselves to that same standard. And then the worst thing is to me, not to get on people too hard here, but I just think that this is helpful, is when people draw the conclusion of, well, if they didn't leave a voicemail, they weren't serious. Or the really serious
Yeah.
people would have called me and they would have also went and filled out a form, or they would have been available if I called them back. And I text them that, so they never responded. So they're not serious. And it's like, no, they just moved on because they found somebody who treated them the way that they wanted to be treated.
Yes. Yes. And another thing too to add, if you do the consult and you don't sell it, I put them in like a no sale nurture so I
Mhm.
can continue to stay in front of them. Because for me, I have like buyer's paralysis. I will not sign up and give you a check in the consultation. I'm going to talk to 3 other businesses and then I'm going to make my decision.
Leanne, you're that
I
person?
am so cheap too. Yeah. If you start sending me, like, it was great chatting with you and learning about Flirty. I'd love to be considered to be part of this journey with you and Flirty. That is so powerful that we see people signing up because it's back to trust. We're not just selling pizzas, we're selling board and trains. And
exactly.
we need to make sure that they trust us, and automating some of that is really going to help get that sale and get that bigger sale too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I'll just finish that off just by saying you're selling something that's anywhere between $1,000 to $6,000. If you don't have the expectation that this is going to require some level of effort from me, you're just mistaken. Because who is buying anything for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 just from being like not listened to in the beginning, not being able to get on a call with somebody, and then they get an email that's kind of vague and maybe it has like a price on it, and you're just kind of like, this isn't compelling. There's nothing compelling about this. You need to, when you're selling high ticket things, make people feel like they're known, heard, understood, appreciated, know, like, and trust. That's the whole thing. That's the only way you get people to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't want to give you my money unless I trust you.
Yeah.
And I know we sound like Kevin and I are just like talking the sales stuff and trying to
Yeah.
help, we're trying to help, but like back to when I was just a regular dog trainer that hated sales. I sucked at
Mhm.
sales. I had that narrative. Like, I was just trying to get my dog training clients because I was authentic. But I am excited about sales now, and I see that as part of the piece that I was always missing. And I'm proud of
Mhm.
myself in that I can listen and build trust when they tell me their story. And I'm like, they trust me. Like that stuff, now I'm identifying that as part of the sale, part of I'm moving towards the close. And I don't want to sound like snake oil or slick, but I get excited about this sales stuff now. It's pretty cool. And hopefully people listening will hear that from us.
Yeah, that's really well said. I mean, there's so many people out there, just preaching about sales and working hard and stuff. And I don't want this podcast to become that where people come here and they feel like diminished or shamed or something like that. But I think that the most important thing I want everybody to know is just that us saying anything different or other than the truth is not doing you any favors. You know what I mean by that? Like me saying, hey, it's okay. You're not a people person. Let yourself off the hook. Just kind of like, just only worry about, the low hanging word of mouth referrals that come in. If they don't buy from you, they sucked as a lead. They weren't serious. Like, I'm not doing you any favors by telling you that. And whenever I work with a coach, one of the first things I always tell everybody is like, dude, I would rather you eviscerate me and humiliate me as long as you're telling me the truth than coddle me and make me feel good about the stupid stuff that I'm doing currently.
Yeah. I listened to Trent Shelton. He did his podcasts, very motivational. And one of the things that you just said made me think of what he says. He says, I love you too much to keep you the same.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he says the things that are a little hard to hear and they're uncomfortable things, uncomfortable actions that you will have to do. But I love you too much to keep you the same.
That is beautifully said. You honestly just gave me chills by saying that because that's like biblical level stuff. It's like people have completely perverted and turned the idea of like love and loving somebody into something that it isn't. What a lot of people confuse love for now and loving your friend or your family member is just like making them feel good and stuff. But you can lovingly rebuke somebody and say, dude, you're on a bad path here. Like, is it
Yeah.
more loving to like have somebody who's like an addict? And this is getting a little bit dark, but I feel like this is helpful. It's like someone who's an alcoholic or an addict or suffering from, gambling addiction. Is it more loving to just be like, hey, it's okay, you're doing the best you can? Or is it more loving to grab them and be like, you're destroying your life? You're destroying your family's life. Your mother is worried sick about you. You're going to kill yourself. Like, you need to go and get help. That is a way more loving thing to do and help that person actually get well than just coddling them and letting them think that what they're currently doing is is going to get it done. Oh, and so it's the same thing with business in a sense where it's like if you just get let off the hook and you're hanging around a group of people who just they do that all day long, run. You
Yeah.
need people in your corner who are going to tell you like, dude, you are chronically underachieving. You are way too smart, you are way too charismatic, and you have way too much potential to let this be your reality.
And that's probably a conversation that I've had many times with my dog training clients
Mhm.
where I'm like, how'd it go? Well, I didn't practice, blah, blah, blah. And if I'm like, keep up the good work, like that doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense. I'm here to help them work through the problem. So yeah,
yeah.
that's what we're here to do. We care and we want to see you succeed.
For sure. Yeah, that was a great top plan. I appreciate you bringing that up. So, listen, we're over the hour mark here, so we'll wrap it up here. But is there anything that you want to like plug or anything that you want to kind of just like tell people about you before we wrap up for the day?
There was just one more thing that I wanted to say, and that was about like for me, I moved into Zoom and phone
Oh, yeah,
consultations.
please. I kind of count off that topic. Go
And
ahead.
I was thinking as a baby dog trainer, when I was a new dog trainer, I learned so much by those in-person evals, especially going to the home. So yeah, once you've been doing this for a while and business is good, you got all the reviews and it's selling itself kind of thing, you can move into that. But I think as a new dog trainer, you need to get your hands on more dogs. You need to see them at their worst.
Hmm.
So yeah, new dog trainers definitely like one-on-one with the clients. And hey, maybe there's an opportunity to get a quick video of the before so that you can
Hmm.
get a good video of the after, have on your website to show some different breeds and the before and afters.
Exactly. Now, I appreciate you saying that. That's super helpful. Like, you kind of have to earn the right to be able to do the phone and Zoom sales, right? It's like you book out your business first, make it as easy as possible for people to say yes. And then once you crush and you just know, like, I'm booked out a month, 2 months, and slowly start testing it, A B test it and be like, hey, does this work if I sell over Zoom? But yeah, I think at the beginning, to your point, just get your hands on as many dogs and as many consultations and just get as many reps in as you possibly can.
Yeah, you learn so much. Like if they come to your facility, you see them get out of the car, you're watching, you're assessing,
Yeah.
the dog, like you're learning and picking up so much. So when you open your mouth, they're like, wow, you really already know us. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I just saw like a bunch of stuff that maybe other people, other trainers might miss and not share. So
Yeah, for sure. That's really well said. All right, cool. So is there anything that you want to wrap up with, like anything that you want to tell people about you or where to find you or anything like that?
I hang out at automationdogs.com and I offer free strategy sessions. So if anybody's like, I want to network with vets, I need help with my business, I need direction, or if you're like, I need to find someone who can help me with my ads, I'm more than happy. I don't do ads. All I do is software now. That's like my jam is just helping dog trainers and helping them with software.
I think you know a guy who does ads though. I'm not too sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'm happy to recommend and just get on with you
Yeah.
and help dog trainers, so you can go to Automation Dogs. It's a 20-minute free strategy session. I'm just happy to talk about anything.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, make sure to check out Automation Dogs and make sure to give Leanne a follow on Facebook. Check out her YouTube channel. Super awesome stuff on there. Great interviews with really cool dog trainers. And Leanne, I mean, I was on your podcast last week and now you're on here. We'll have to do this again because I feel like this always is just great conversations and just like super helpful information, even just for me to hear from you.
Yeah, we always just get to over an hour and it's like, how did we get here?
Yeah,
So
totally. All right, cool. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. Hang on for a second afterwards, but I'm going to wrap it up here. So, as always, if you guys like this, do us a favor, give us a thumbs up, drop a comment down below in the comment section. And if there's ever anybody that you'd like to see come on, make sure to mention their name. I could see if I can get a guest on that you guys would like to really hear from. And just if there's any topics you really want to hear about, make sure to leave them in the comment section. We can do our best to get to all that stuff in one of the next upcoming episodes. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys and we will see you all very soon in the next one. See you guys.